Okay, yesterday we took the van for a test drive. We knew we had a very small leak, and we decided to just go ahead with it anyway because we wanted to get out there before it started raining, and we didn't want to pull the belly pan. We just wanted to get out there and also chase a few parts and fill up the tank with gas. Might not have been the best decision I've ever made, because when we pulled that belly pan off, we saw a disconnected spark plug wire in the vicinity of that fuel pump. Well, there wasn't any spraying fuel, and nothing bad happened, thank goodness. But I can just imagine trying to explain it to the cops or whoever. Officer, I was just driving along, and all of a sudden there was just this fireball that started underneath the van. I don't know what happened. Maybe got hit by a space laser. I'm not sure. But yeah, if anything bad would have happened, that would have been bad. But anyway, I wanted to follow up with some more vacuum gauge readings, because that spark plug wire being off of there should have an effect on these vacuum gauge readings. So we're going to go ahead and start it up. We're going to turn the camera around and look at the vacuum gauge readings we got today. Okay, this is a cold start demonstration. This is a 68 Chevy G20. It's got the original 307. I believe it's very low mileage, like 15,000. Anyway, this has had new performer intake manifold from Edelbrock and an AVB2 carburetor from also Edelbrock. So completely manual choke. There's no choke pull off, no vacuum pods to pull that choke off. So as you can see, the choke, which is right here, is completely open. So first thing in the morning, this is what I like to do. Put the foot all the way to the floor. That opens up the throttle, shoots a little bit of fuel in there from the accelerator pump. And while you have your foot on there, close that choke completely and release the throttle. That should set the fast idle cam so that it idles up a little faster and gives the maximum amount of fuel during cranking only. When you are cranking only, what you want is that choke completely closed. As soon as it starts, you want to crack that top choke plate open a little bit and let it run for a little while. And then as it warms up, slowly open up the choke all the way. How fast depends on how cold it is and whether or not you're idling or you want to take off right away. If you want to take off right away before it's fully warmed up, then the name of the game is to leave that open slightly. Don't crack it open too much. And so when we hit the key, it should fire right up. Now we open the choke a little bit. See, it screws out just a little bit. It's still a little bit too far closed, but it's not critical. Let this thing idle. Slowly but surely open up that choke. It's not really idling up too fast. That should be long enough idle for you to take off and start driving, and slowly open up that choke. It'll take no more than a few minutes unless you're in some kind of freezing weather. And there you go. As quickly as this started, with as few cranks as that, that is the ideal. It shouldn't take excessive amount of cranking. If it's like that long, something's wrong. Either there's too much fuel in there from just sitting, or something else is going wrong. Maybe you're not getting enough choke. It's hard to see this choke position when there's an air cleaner on there. So anyway, a cold start for me is anything that has been sitting overnight and then the first start of the day. Let's fire this up. Okay, if you notice it's reading just a little bit lower than it was the previous time. That may have something to do with the timing adjustment I did, but regardless, what I wanted to show was that that needle is no longer bouncing back and forth. And the only thing I did that could affect it, in my opinion, is I hooked up that number 1 spark plug wire. Now, the thing about these V8s is that a lot of times it's not immediately obvious that you have one spark plug disconnected or one cylinder not firing. And that was the case here. I was driving it around, it seemed okay, and I had no indication that there was any kind of misfire. But apparently, with a vacuum gauge, that's another one of the things that you can detect is a misfire. Pretty darn steady. Turn the climb back up on the vacuum here. This engine is a little bit cold. All right. So another thing that I noticed is that even though this engine is dead cold, that clutch fan is engaging. There's a lot of wind coming off that. That should not be engaged at this point. That thermostatic clutch fan should only engage like that when ambient temperature, or the temperature coming past that fan is, over like 190, I don't know, like 200, I don't know what the spec is. But certainly it's got to be not engaged when it's fully cold like that. That's going to make a lot more noise on the freeway and just driving around, and it's also going to cause a lot more fuel consumption spinning that fan that much. So anyway, back to the repairs. Thanks for watching.